All right. Good morning. We are back. I have oiled this and left it upside down from the last video so that the oil would sit in these parts from underneath here. But today I am going to pull the machine out of this base so that I have the case completely separated to work on, and take a little better look at the machine. I think it's all in time, but I'll double check that before we get any further to make sure it's going to put a decent stitch on something. So yeah, first things first, for removing these is there's this clamp screw here and these are pretty easy to pull out. You just loosen those two clamp screws, which apparently are loose. You can see on the hinge here, there's actually a machined recess on the pin. So when you put it in there and you clamp it down, even if the screw comes loose, it'll still hold in place there for a little bit, and it won't just pop right out. So yeah, the case is very, very bad shape on this, so that's going to be a whole bunch of project work to look at and figure out how to get that back in shape. The challenge, of course, being that unlike a modern machine, this one, has no enclosure on the base. So new style plastic cases typically don't have any method to protect this from gathering fabric because they expect the machine to be enclosed on the bottom. So it's much easier to do the work to reuse the old case and refurbish the old case than it is to be looking for a new one all the time. Although you can, get lucky at thrift stores or what have you and find a new style or another case with a different machine in it, but then you're still up a machine and down a case, generally speaking. Although, there's a lot of people that, because these machines are also the ones that belong inside tables and sewing cabinets, obviously. There are a lot of end tables out there where people got tired of hauling the cabinet around with a machine in it and tossed the machine out at some point, but didn't do anything else with the cabinet except, use it as an end table. So you can find those at thrift stores, and then you can take a machine out of the case like I had and put it back in the end table. So because this machine has got a lot of mildew and grime on it, and just using dish soap and a rag here to wipe a lot of that off the machine here, clean this up. Nice thing about these, of course, is that this finish is all enamel, so whatever mold and stuff grows on it is generally very surface level. So once you get, especially like this rusty bit, start lubricating the rusty bits so that so the rust is loose, you can generally wipe them down pretty easily with just a rag and some soap and get them all fixed up. As far as light cleaning like that, once they get really rusty, of course, then you gotta make bigger plans, but that's a full refinishing job at some juncture. I see there's a, but most of this mold and mildew is just coming right off. There's a couple spots on this end piece here that are not cleaning up immediately, so maybe I'll come back with some vinegar or bathroom cleaner or something on there. Looks like the hand wheel here has got some pretty good rust on it, so I'll have to decide what I want to do about that. Whether it's worth trying to do something about, or if it's just going to stay that way. But I haven't decided yet how much work I want to put into this machine, so. I will say that I got pretty lucky. I was at a thrift shop the other day and found this box, sewing machine motor, 110 volts, 90 watt with foot controller. No other branding. An old price on it for $45. Thrift shop, it was half off of $8.70, so for $4 I have a replacement foot controller that is in much nicer shape than the one that came with the machine, because this is the one that came with the machine. It's got all the wear across the top there and pretty rusty. This one is in better shape. This is another Mercury Electric. I honestly don't know if there was anybody else who made these pedals besides Mercury. It's paired with a Champion brand motor, but and it's got the same style mount on as this other motor, because this is again the kind of really agreed upon kind of industry standard. But this one would also have to be rewired, so I don't know that I'm gonna use the motor part, but I'll probably use the pedal, because the pedal's in nicer shape than the original pedal off this machine, and I have to rewire the whole this connector anyway. So but that was a nice find. It's got the original receipt in it. Huh. Looks like somebody bought this in 1995 for $45. That seems anyhow, so yeah, that was a nice find related to this project, and since I don't really have space to be keeping stuff around, I certainly wouldn't have picked it up if I didn't have a project that it needed to go with. But go. Since I popped that belt off. Alright. Machine's pretty That's what happened. I had this adjuster all the way. Oh, that's right, I have the spring off there. That's why it's not centering up and moving. Forgot I had the spring off of there, and so just wanted to Alright, the knob out of the way. So still a bit of rust in this track here, so I was work that a bit back and forth. Wipe that with my rag. Put more oil in it. So especially when you get a machine like this that's really rusted up like this, you do want to oil it a whole bunch, and then before you start using it a ton, you can wipe a bunch of the oil out and clean it up, but you want to make sure that you get oil back inside everything that's supposed to be oiled. Otherwise, you'll just build up the rust inside those areas, and it'll wear the machine out faster. So let the oil wash everything out, soak in real good, and then when I get the motor back on this, I'll run it fast and free for a little bit to really work things in, and then I'll wipe oil off of it once it's been really run in full of oil again. So, alright. Alright, so I'm going to push this here. Let's see. Yeah, what? I'm going to pop the sole plate off here. So I want to double check this timing before we get to doing the major work, which is that case. And timing on a sewing machine is, as long as it's close, it's easy to get it adjusted back in generally. So when I ran it the first time, it looked like it was okay. The only way it goes out really is if somebody's completely brutalized the machine, and usually you're going to notice that because the machine will be completely locked up when you get a hold of it. So unless you get a machine that's entirely and completely locked up, there's almost zero chance that the timing is going to be out, because especially these old machines, in order for the timing to go out, you have to get this bound up so that it will completely get separated, which, I mean, these are all very gear driven, so getting this bound up in a way that it's going to get separated from the rest of the movement is pretty challenging on these old machines. Not like the new machines. Like, new machines typically are using stepper motors to keep the parts running together, which is how they get all the fancy stitches quickly and easily. But like, if the computer board goes wrong in a new machine, then it won't be running the motors in the right order, and then it's all out of step. But again, it's a separate issue, and it's not really a mechanical one that can be fixed easily. But anyhow, so get the shuttle here. See, the shuttle has the half moon shape here. This is the needle on the shuttle, the hook on the shuttle rather. The hook is on the shuttle. This is the hook that grabs the loop of thread off of the needle and pulls it out and around so that that loop of thread will go around the bobbin and then get tugged back up by the return arm here. So needle goes down, this sets in here like that, so our hook is at the top, and then the hook is getting rotated through the thread while the needle is being pulled up. Rotates through I'm doing this the wrong. I'm going to rotate the right way so it pops properly. So the hook is at the top. It's going to go through the loop of thread off the needle. The pull up, this return arm, tension arm, pull arm, I forget what they call that, is coming down, so it's providing the extra thread that the hook here is pulling around the bobbin. And then the hook has pulled the thread around the bobbin, the loop pops off the hook, and this arm yanks the extra thread up to tighten it, and then the needle is going back down as the shuttle is returning up. So that looks like it's in good order. When we get back together, we'll do some testing, and like I said, there's really no reason to expect that this be out of time, unless when you get a machine, it's really locked up tight, because you can. Oh, this is a really fancy machine. You can see it's set for zigzag, and it's actually moving the whole bobbin case back and forth to match the needle for that zigzag, which modern machines don't do that because they have a different hook design so that they can grab the thread kind of wherever it ends up. Also, a lot of machines that have a horizontal bobbin like this, especially from the side, it's a lot easier to get the loop hooked from the side. So interesting. Anyhow, okay, well, now that we've quadruple checked that, look and see that I'm still recording. Alright, so set that back there. Finish wiping the top cover of the machine down. I have to get some Goo Gone and remove. There's a address label for the previous owner here, but otherwise you can see all that mold and mildew just wipes right off, because these cases and there were no felt washers in this case, so I'm assuming that the previous owner lost the felt washers a long time ago, because these marks here are rings from thread spools rubbing on the case. But since this is just a paper address label, it looks like I can just rub it with my soapy rag and it's coming right off. There's still a bit of goo there, so have to get a bit of cleaner for that, but otherwise, this machine is cleaning up nicely. I'm going to go get my Dremel and some other cleaning supplies, because next we have all these parts that are rusty and kind of in the way. So like the bobbin winder here, you're going to have to clean up rust on that. So we'll be disassembling that a bit more. The spool pins for the top of the machine are really rusty, so I'm going to want to clean those up. So all right.